Hey guys, happy Monday. Did everybody have a good weekend? I hope so. I got outside with my daughter and did a bunch of skiing, which was amazing because we're in the mountains right now. So I am very curious to talk to you guys today about your unique energy and style and artistry. And this is something that a lot of voice teachers don't really talk about. A lot of traditional voice teachers talk about your technique, your breath support, your resonance, like all of those important things, and they're really, really important because they help you tap into your unique artistic identity and style. Because think about it, if you are not able to tap into the essence of your instrument, right? Like the truth of your instrument. If you don't know how to unleash that organic voice that is your own because you don't have the technique to do it, then how are you going to find your artistic and your unique artistic identity and sound? So that's why it's so important. Like every conversation that I have with you guys is always two things. It's not just artistry and artistic identity. It's not just technique. It's both, because the reason that we need to get you so rock solid in your technique is so that you know what your instrument can do, so that you know what you're capable of when you're not manipulating, forcing, pushing. All those things take you out of your most unique, authentic artistic identity, unique, authentic sound. So please understand that I'm prefacing this conversation on the fact that you're actively involved in training your most foundational, like, what's the word I'm looking for? You're actively involved in training your most reliable technique so that you're able to understand what your instrument can do to unleash it for your most authentic sound. So that said, one of the things that I hear a lot from singers is I'm a really good parrot. I can copy, I can sound just like this artist, or I can make myself sound just like the original artist on that song, or I can sound, just like XYZ. And so I'm wondering, if you're watching this and you feel like you're a really good parrot, hit me in the chat. Like you can do that till the cows come home. But when it comes to tapping into what your unique identity is, your unique sound, your special sauce, you feel a little bit lost, right? So tell me, put parrot in the chat if you identify with this. Like you can listen to a recording and really imitate really, really well. But when it comes to your own sauce, you feel a little lost, your own special sauce. And I think this is really common. So many artists that I know have struggled with this from time to time. And so the first thing that I want to invite you to ask yourself, right? So this is a series of inquiries that's going to help you to start to understand who you are as an artist, what your unique sound is. So the first question that I want you to answer for yourself is, if I wasn't afraid of being judged, if I wasn't afraid of failing or not being successful, what music would I most align with singing and performing? Because I think a lot of us get stuck because we know the answer to that question, but our fear of judgment, our fear of failure, our fear of not succeeding stops us, because we think, oh, I would never be believable as XYZ, or, oh, it's way too competitive to XYZ, or, oh, maybe what I would really love to do if I wasn't afraid of being judged or scared or whatever is I would want to be a songwriter and a pop singer, but maybe I'm trained as an opera singer and I feel like I would never be able to do that, right? So the question is, what music feels so impassioned in you that you would want to sing if you were not being driven by fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not succeeding? And type it into the chat. What would that be for you? Because I know so many of us, we think, oh, wow, if I could X, Y, Z, but I can't because of all the shoulds and all the can'ts and all the not good enoughs, right? So that's the first question to ask. The flip side of that, though, is that sometimes the music that we love, the music we align with, the music we love to listen to, sometimes is not always the music that loves our voice. So that's the second question to ask, which is what music, what style, what kind of artistry loves my voice? So what I mean by that is different voices are built to do different things. Not all voices are built to do all things. If you think just like not all bodies are built to do all things, right? You have, if you think about athletes, there's a kind of body that's built for sprints. Like if you're a runner and you're a sprinter, most sprinters have more short twitch muscle fibers than long distance runners have more slow twitch muscle fibers. It's just science. Their bodies are built to do something else. And so if you're a long distance runner, your body was built to do that. You're going to be more successful if you're doing that. So to think about your voice from that perspective, what music loves my voice? So I can give you an example in my case. I can sing all kinds of music. I can sing Broadway. I can sing pop. I can sing, you name it. But the music that loves my voice the most is classical music. And how do I know that? Because when I sing classical music, when I sing opera, it is like putting a round peg in a round hole. It just fits. It's just easy. I've studied, I have the technique, right? But it just fits. I don't have to try. I don't have to do anything. And that doesn't mean I can't sing other kinds of music. I made a lot of money and did a lot of things singing pop music, but it's not as intuitive. It's not the music that loves my voice in the same way. So what music loves your voice? When you sing it, it just feels like home. You don't have to try. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to force. You're not worried about, fitting in that way stylistically. It just fits. So think about it. And it might not be music that you currently spend a lot of time doing. You might have an idea in your head that you love country music, that is it, that you love country music and you're going to be a country music singer. But does country music love your voice? Like for me, I love country music. There is no way on this God-given planet that I would be successful doing country music because country music does not love my voice. I don't have twang. I don't have that. There is that sound, and I don't have it. It's not what my instrument was built to do. And that's okay. So start to pay attention to what music loves your voice. And that might mean some experimentation. Experiment with doing different kinds of genres. Experiment, take it out for a spin. But here's what's absolutely necessary if you're going to do this, is that you allow yourself to be in that, what I call scientist mindset, the experimental mindset, where you're throwing spaghetti on the wall and you're not judging how it comes out. You're just open and curious. It's that mindset of curiosity. Because if you go in with that judgy mindset of like, oh, you already know it's not going to sound good. You already know it's going to suck, or you already know you don't like it. Yeah. I can't tell you how many singers I've worked with who have never done any classical music before, and they're not intending to be classical musicians, but we're going to do some classical stuff just purely for technique. And we start experimenting with classical stuff purely for technique. And all of a sudden they're like, this feels really good. This feels really good. I want to do more of this, right? And it's something that they never, ever, ever would have been open to before. So it's that idea of just being open and curious, to seeing what music loves your voice. What is the round hole or the round peg going into the round hole? Okay. I see a question in the chat. Can you have multiple genres that fit your voice? Yeah, you absolutely can. But there's always going to be, in my experience, one that just really feels like home. Like it just doesn't require you twisting yourself in any kind of pretzel or overthinking, over trying, over manipulating to do it. But like I said before, that doesn't mean that you can't sing multiple genres. I made a huge career singing multiple genres. You can absolutely do that. But I can also say with full confidence that when I sing classical music, that's home to me. That just feels aligned. So that's another inquiry, that when you're thinking about connecting with your unique artistic identity and artistic style, is to think, am I singing this music because I love listening to it? Or am I singing this music because this is the music that loves my voice, that feels at home, that sits really easily in my instrument and in my voice? The other thing that I want you to think about when you're thinking about connecting with your artistic identity and with your artistic style that is uniquely your own is being willing to go beyond your comfort zone, to experiment. Because you may find that in being kind of scared of what people will think, or if all the fears that come up, am I going to do this right? Is it going to be perfect? Like all the stuff that gets in your way in your mindset, what it does is it can keep you in this little box where you're afraid to step out and do something that might be uniquely yours, because you don't know how it's going to go, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. And you might have to put yourself out there and explore 5 different performances in 5 different styles and doing many different things and getting data that maybe it didn't go so well before you find the thing that feels like home to you. Even if you're a songwriter, if you're a recording artist, if that's something where your voice is taking you and you're writing your own music, write a lot of stuff that you would consider bad, in the sense that let yourself experiment. You're going to write a lot of bad songs before you write the ones that are good. But that's how you get to find the style, is you start exploring and you're like, oh, this works. Oh, this doesn't. Oh, this really works. I'm going to do more of that. Oh, that not so much. But it's that fear of being uncomfortable, because the first few times that we do something, if we don't get the result we like, most people, they shut down and they stop. And they never iterate enough to find the thing that does work. So finding your unique identity and style is more, in my opinion, about mindset than anything else. And it's about bravery and courage. When I think about artists who really do their own thing and have their unique style, they really do not care. They do not care what anyone thinks. They're not doing this to please the audience. They're not doing it because that's what's in style right now. That's not what the industry is looking for right now. I think about, like, Amy Winehouse comes to mind, because Amy Winehouse was doing throwback 1960s stuff when, like, who was popular at the time? It was all of the like super electro pop. Like, I'm thinking Katy Perry, I'm thinking all of those other people who were right around the same time. And she comes and she's like, I'm doing 60s throwback. But you want to know why that worked? It worked because that was her voice was built to do that. Like, when you listen to her and you hear her sound, it's so aligned with what she was singing, because she wasn't trying to fit herself into this like electro pop box, pop princess thing that, like, so many other artists are like, oh, that's what I have to do to be successful. So now they're twisting themselves into pretzels to try to do something that 20 other people are doing, because that's what's popular right now. And who breaks through? Amy Winehouse doing, throwback 1960s pop. But it works because she was willing to step out in a sound that was uniquely hers and what worked for her voice, instead of trying to fit herself into some other box. So that really is such a great analogy in that sense of not doing what everybody else is doing. Now, don't do the thing where you say, oh, well, my voice kind of sounds like this and it's very similar to all these other people. So now, just for the sake of being different, I'm going to go and do this to be different, because that's not aligned with you either. If you're just doing it to get attention, to stand out, that's not aligned, right? Thinking about, what music loves my voice? What am I brave enough to step into? Because that's what feels good to me. And that's what's going to make the best sound. Could you imagine Amy Winehouse trying to fit herself into that pop princess of what was popular when she came out, of like trying to fit herself into the Katy Perry, the Beyonce, the Rihanna? It's not her. And it never would have landed, ever. So as you guys are stepping into explorations of identity and style, cultivate courage, cultivate bravery. It's okay to be you. It's okay. We have an Amy Winehouse. We have a Beyonce. We have if you're a classical singer, right? We have an Anna Netrebko. We have a Pavarotti, had a Pavarotti. What we don't have is you. So your exploration becomes a process of being the most you and finding out who that is. Because unless you are very intimately connected to who that is, you will always just be parroting some other artist, trying to parrot somebody else's career because that's what was successful, because it made them successful. But just because it made them successful doesn't mean it's going to make you successful, because you are different. So the journey, this artistic journey that we're on, becomes a journey of knowing who you are as an individual, as an energetic being on this planet. And then the course of that journey is just exploration into that music that comes forth when you are operating from that truth. Too many artists are not successful because they're just trying to be like somebody else, like somebody who already was successful. Don't do that. Go on your own journey. Figure it out in a spiritual way, if that's something that is aligned for you. Figure it out in a way that is in a psychological way, if that's aligned for you. Who am I? What's important to me? What do I want to, if you're a songwriter, what do I want to write about? If you're a Broadway artist or an opera artist, there's so much pressure for that perfect sound, especially if you're a classical singer, to iron out all the idiosyncrasies in your voice. So it's just like this pure, perfect sound. The perfectionism is crazy. And what's interesting are that the singers who succeed are not the ones who have the most perfect sound. Yes, they have good technique. Yes, they are powerful, but they're not bowing to that. They're not, or I should say, they're not subjugating their own identity in service of the perfection. I have an old friend who I went to conservatory with, who became the artistic administrator and head casting person at Los Angeles Opera. And he was the number 2, just under Placido Domingo. And then he went and he did the same role at the Metropolitan Opera. And I would say to him, Josh, where are all the American singers? Like, I go to LA Opera and every single principal role, especially the women, were all these Eastern European singers, women from Republic of Georgia and Czech Republic and Belarus and Russia. And I'm like, Josh, where are the American singers? Why aren't you hiring American singers? And he looked at me and he'd be like, and he'd say the same thing every time. And he's like, they're just not interesting. They're just boring. They're just cookie cutters. And the Eastern European singers, however, they're trained differently than our American classical singers. Our American classical singers are trained to iron all that stuff out. Everything that could make your voice interesting, we're just going to iron it out. We're going to train you into perfectionism. But guess what, guys? Perfect is boring. And so LA Opera has been hiring all these Eastern European singers because they're taught how to step into the emotional truth of what they're singing. And that's the highest value that they have, not their flawless, perfect, line. Maria Callas is a perfect example of this. Maria Callas back from the 50s and 60s. If you listen to Maria Callas recording, it's not what you would consider a perfectly, like, perfect classical sound. She is run by her own alignment and connection with what she's singing, her emotional identity, her art, her artistry. And she does things that were often considered like, ooh, don't do that technically, like by snooty opera community. And she was the most famous opera singer in the world for years. If you listen to Renee Fleming, who's probably arguably the most famous, successful soprano living today, she's in her 50s, I think, maybe, yeah, late 50s probably. And I heard her sing this past summer. I heard her do a concert, and she made choices that were her choices, that I guarantee you no conservatory coach or professor that all the classical singers coming up who want to be like her would never be taught to make. Not only would they not be taught to make them, but they would actually be taught that it's bad, that it's bad because it's not perfect. It's not exactly, how you use your voice in this context. And that's why she's so successful, because she doesn't listen to that. She listens to herself. The emotion, the emotional home, the artistry that she has within her is the thing that's driving the bus, not the perfectionism of the technique. I would much rather see somebody up there who moves me, who might not be flawless, but who moves me, than somebody who's perfect and boring. And that's what Josh was saying. He's not casting American singers because they're perfect and they're boring. And so I think a lot of us think that that we don't really know who that artistic identity inside is. We don't really know what that unique special sauce is, because I think so many of us are just so tied to, like, it's got to sound like X. It's got to sound like this. If you're a pop artist and you're doing covers, it's got to sound like the original artist. If you're on Broadway, or if you're doing opera, like, it's got to sound like this sound that everybody has if I'm going to be successful. But if everybody's got it, then you're not going to stand out, and then you're really not going to be successful. So it takes courage. It takes bravery to stand in your own sound and be willing to put the emotion, put the story, put your unique take on something above being technically perfect. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't want you to sing with good technique. I do. And the singers who we work with in our intensive training program, the main reason that I help you set up that foundation for reliable technique is so that you can go to the emotion and that will still be there for you. You can allow yourself to let go and tap into what is different, what is interesting, what is unique about you, without fear that that technique is going to fly out the window because of it. So it is both things. We want you to have reliable, foundational, consistent technique so that you're able to understand what your instrument can do, and you know how to bring that forth every single time, so that when you tap into the bravery and the artistry and the uniqueness, because you're not in your head anymore about, oh, it's got to sound like this, or what if I don't sound right, or what if all the chatter of the inner critic, that what comes forth is you. You don't have to find your original sound, guys. It's you. But most of you are so busy feeling like you're not enough. Most of you are so busy thinking you need to look like somebody else, sound like somebody else, do something else, be something else, that you don't have access to that. And that's not going to take you where you want to go. It takes courage to stand in your own identity. It takes courage to look within and own what that is. That's why most people don't do it, because they're scared of what they're going to find when they look within. They're either scared that they're not going to like it, or they're scared that other people are not going to like it. So they don't do it. And so then they just end up being one of many, just another parrot. And I know that you want something different, which is why you're here. So type into the chat, for those of you who are watching live, of everything that I've said in the last 20 minutes that we've been live, what is one takeaway that what I call distinction? What is one distinction that you're going to take away with this, from this? And for the rest of the week, you're going to let that be the thing that guides you when you sing. Type it into the chat. What is one thing that you're going to align with from this little chat about tapping into your uniqueness, your special sauce, that you're going to experiment with this week as you sing, to see if you can start to let go and let what is true for you come forth. Yes, perfect is boring. Awesome, I see that. It is, guys, is boring. I mean, I can tell you of so many auditions that I've judged and so many performances that I've been to. When we try to be perfect, we just end up being another cookie cutter. And that's not going to help you stand out. Be you. That is the most courageous thing you can do. You're wondering, what's my style? What's my special sauce? If you don't know it, it's because you haven't yet allowed yourself to see you and be you. So what could it be like? What could it be like to go into your practice later today or tomorrow? What could it be like? Ask yourself, how would I sing this if I wasn't worried about needing to be XYZ? Whatever it is that you tell yourself that you need to be in order to succeed. How would I sing this if I knew that everything I had is already here? How would I do it? And then start to explore. Those of you who were in the Vocal Powerhouse Accelerator workshop 2 weeks ago, that's what the energy exploration cards are all about, is these inquiries to help you to let go and peel away and really tap into the energy that allows you to be you. So use these cards for this purpose. All right, guys. I hope this has been helpful to you today. Take this for your Monday and use it this week to start to let go and tap into you. Journal on it. Who would I be if I wasn't afraid? Who would I be if people weren't judging me, or I wasn't scared of people judging me? Who would I be if I wasn't in all my shoulds? I should be like this. I should sound like this. I should look like this. I should blah, 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 blah. And then get some clarity. And then ask yourself that same question right before you sing. How would I sing this if I wasn't afraid of what anybody thought? How would I sing this if I wasn't worried about what I looked like, what I sounded like? And then act as if. Keep playing it forward. Okay, guys, have a wonderful Monday. I will be back here next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week, but actually you could type into the chat if you have a topic that you want me to speak on, whether it's a mindset topic or something else. I would love to know. So go ahead and put that in the comments too. And I'll see if there's a theme or if there's other ways that I can be of service to you guys. Okay. Mwah, mwah. I will see you guys next week. Bye.